back to the Google Workspace Update podcast from Strawberry 7. My name is Adam.
And my name is Adam.
We're here every week to bring you all of the latest updates happening in the world of Google Workspace. This podcast is available in audio format from wherever you cast your pods and also in video format on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/Strawberry7.
Coming up on the show today.
We've got 5 updates for you today. I think we had 5 updates last week as well. So we've got updates to Gmail, another one to Gmail, Admin, Google Meet, and Google Chat. So we've got nice little variants in there. As always, there is a link to the document that we read from, and that's in the podcast or video description. This document contains some more detailed information, some relevant links, some pretty pictures, and even some moving graphics showing you some of these features in action. So let's get to it.
On with the show. So, first little update for everyone. We've got 2 little updatelets for everybody, but the very first one, or actually both of them, are to do with Gmail. So you can now unsubscribe from emails on Gmail more easily. So Google knows managing unwanted emails is a source of frustration for many users. That's why they announced new guidelines for bulk senders a few months ago to help users stay safe. Now they're introducing new ways to make it even easier to unsubscribe from unwanted emails in Gmail on web and mobile by adding the unsubscribe button to the hover action in the thread list on web. So when the unsubscribe button is clicked, Gmail sends a HTTP request to an email to the sender to remove the email address from their mailing list. They're also moving the unsubscribe button from the 3-dot menu to appear more prominently in your email on your Android and iOS device. Additionally, Google knows it is common for people to receive unwanted messages despite initially signing up to receive them from brands or organizations. These messages often originate from a legitimate sender, and marking them as spam can negatively impact the sender's email reputation and can potentially affect the deliverability of future emails. And for this reason, Google has changed the text of the button to make it clearer for users to choose between unsubscribing or reporting a message as spam.
This is really, really nice. I tell you what this makes me think of immediately, Adam, and I know it probably did for you as well, is they've done this in iOS, and they actually did it quite a while ago, didn't they? Kind of just having the unsubscribe button on iPhones and things in emails quite near the top.
Yes, and when I read through this update, I thought this is perfect for me, even though I already do have that feature. So I do it all the time. You go to a brand new website and say, if you sign up to our newsletter, you get 10% off your first purchase or whatnot. So I was like, yes, that's fine. I would like 10% off, please. You subscribe to the newsletter, and then you start receiving emails every single day, but you never then do anything about that. You just get annoyed with yourself every day when they come through. So this feature, having the unsubscribe option there, is great, and I think it is really good that they do differentiate between reporting as spam and unsubscribing, because there is a difference.
Yeah, I thought that as well, and I think that's really good of Google to try and balance between protecting the recipients but also protecting the senders as well, because as they point out, these are legitimate businesses a lot of the time. They're not sending you spam, and again, people kind of get a bit confused as to what spam means, you know. We're even guilty of it sometimes in calling sort of, you know, legitimate email or emails from a legitimate source spam. So these are legitimate companies. They're just sending you stuff that people just don't want to receive anymore, which is fine. So I think it's really good that, like you said, they're differentiating between unsubscribing from something and actually reporting something as spam. And for anybody unclear, I'm sure all of our listeners are very clear on what the difference is between the two. But, you know, spam is unscrupulous emails. Those are ones that are trying to scam you. They're things that you never signed up for in the first place. They're fake products. They're, you know, something that's on the fringes of law and or just outright illegal. And unsubscribing is more something you just don't want to receive anymore.
Yes, although it's possibly fair to say that the definition of spam may have evolved slightly in the common tongue. So then, if people are referring to like adverts and things like this, which they may have actually legitimately signed up for themselves, they did tick that box to say yes, send me newsletters. They may actually just refer to that as spam, but what they mean is it's not a important letter from your boss, or it's not something serious, essentially. So they may refer to that as spam, but technically it's not.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. It's kind of like how Wi-Fi has just become the internet now. It's like, oh, I've got fast Wi-Fi. It's like, we've talked about it in the previous podcast about my pet peeve with the mixing of those two terms. Won't go over old ground again. Thanks, Adam. I think there's a little bit of information about the availability here, isn't there?
Yes, so these features are available to all Google Workspace customers and users with personal Google accounts on web and iOS devices, and are rolling out now on Android devices at an extended pace, so potentially longer than 15 days for feature visibility. I've also added a lovely link or two into our document if anybody would like to learn more about unsubscribing from emails and reporting spam in Gmail.
That's great. Thank you very much, Adam. What have we got next, please?
Okay, next update. So, updating the mobile experience on Android tablets and foldable devices. So, last year, Google announced enhancements to the Google Drive mobile experience on Android tablets. This included several modernizations, such as shifting the navigation bar to the side of the Drive app. Similarly, they've moved the navigation bar for Gmail to the side to optimize the experience on tablets and foldable devices. This migration will make it easier for users to switch tabs in Gmail. And for our lovely listeners out there, there is a graphic in our document. And I think this looks really smart. It looks really clean. It looks modern. It looks fresh. I like it. It looks good.
Yeah, I agree. I think it looks super clean, super, super nice. The thing that I like about this as well is it's really similar in some ways to the web experience, where you've got on the left-hand side there, Gmail, then chat, then meet. But I would say that this trumps the web experience for its cleanliness. I mean, maybe it's because it's on a mobile device and there aren't as many options, but this is really, really clear. And yeah, I really like this. I especially like the reply all and forward buttons being really prominent there, which new users to Gmail I often find get a bit confused about that, a bit lost as to where those are. This is really clean.
Yes, I like it. It's quite simple, but well done. And so which is much better than being too busy and a bit too cluttered and whatnot. Like it looks good. Like I would happily use this app myself.
Yeah, I completely agree. And I also, the other thing that I really like about it compared to the web version, I just flicked back to my web email to see what sort of, in my opinion, adds to the clutter a little bit. What I really like on this is it's the colour system that they've used, where they've basically just removed pretty much all colour. It's just this white pane with these very, very few defining lines and things like that. Really, really nice job. Whoever's designed this, whoever's come up with this, or whatever team has come up with this, I think they've done an incredible job. This is really, really nice interface. Very, very clean. Thank you, Adam. I think this is just available to everybody, right? And well, as long as you've got an Android device, I suppose.
Yes. Available right now to all Google Workspace customers and users with a personal Google account.
Great. Thank you, Adam. What have we got next, please?
So those were our two little updatelets, and now for the other updates. So this one is more for the admins out there. We're kind of admin Google Chat. So manage reported Google Chat content from the new moderation tool in the Google admin console. So Google is introducing a centralized location for reviewing and taking action on reported Google Chat content in the admin console, which can be found under Apps, Google Workspace, then Moderation, alongside the email quarantine tool for Gmail. Here can be found an overarching view of the active and resolved reports, as well as additional information and context about reported messages, allowing for more informed decisions to be made. Super admins will have access to the moderation tool and can also assign users to the new moderate chat content report privilege. The new privilege can be assigned to users in your organisation who are best suited to review chat content, helping to reduce the burden on super admins. Google Chat is key to accelerating productivity and collaboration. Content reporting and moderation helps ensure that information exchanged across chat is safe and appropriate. When a report is submitted by users, the moderation tool can be used to seal reports associated with their messages, which including those resolved in the past as well. The reports that were resolved in the past will be removed from the moderation tool after 180 days. You can also review the edit history of a message and conversation transcript, including up to 5 messages posted before the reported message. Conversation details provide information about the type of conversation, with number of participants, space managers, and guidelines, etc. Using this information combined with organisation policies, admins and moderators can choose the best course of action, whether that be deleting a specific message or deleting an entire workspace before resolving the report. Additionally, moderators can add comments to the report for prosperity should the content require further auditing in the future.
I really like all of these updates that Google have done here, all of these different changes that Google have done. As we said many times before, we're admins ourselves, so anything that makes an admin's life easier, such as being able to do this, like see all of those reported chats in one pane of glass and being able to action them directly from there, is really nice. There's a lot of graphics for any listeners who are interested in this. There's a lot of graphics in the document that we have a link to in the podcast or the video description that have a lot of information about this.
When I was
update.
looking at these graphics, I did make myself laugh just a little bit because on the very first one, it gives you some examples of reported messages, but I misinterpreted that. I thought these were messages that the admins had reported, had made a note against something that somebody else had reported. So I thought somebody had reported their message and the admin said, "This is ridiculous." And then they said, "Please stop talking." I was like, you might be exaggerating just a little bit. And so I thought that was actually the admin kind of giving a bit of chat back to whoever had reported the messages. But those were examples of messages that had actually been reported.
yeah, that makes sense. I mean, the interface here is just really, really nice to see. You've got the reported date and time, you've got how many reports there are, you've got the reported message, which I have to say, I think the reported messages are pretty tame compared to what might be reported in the real world. But it's just really nice seeing. I think the graphics that Google's put in show this feature off really nicely, and the ability for the admins to be able to take action on it and do something with it as well. Whether you can delete the conversation or delete the space is really good. The other thing I really like about this is the fact that you can make other people moderators as well, which is really, really handy. It takes the workload off of the admins a bit, potentially.
Definitely. I just noticed, sorry, I'm being a little bit childish here, but I noticed the person, Helen sent somebody a message, which said, "Please stop talking," and somebody reported that. And then a different message that someone else reported said, "I'll go. I'm glad Helen is not joining us." So there is some beef between Helen and this other person, which I do just find slightly amusing.
I love how you managed to pick that out, even in a Google update, Adam. You managed to find the shade. That's hilarious. So this is really good. I mean, this is really nice.
On a slightly more serious note, it is a good update, being able to the different reporting aspects of reporting messages within chat. Because did I see? Yeah, you can select kind of like reasons why something was reported, or almost give it a classification, whether it was like harassment or discrimination or something along those lines, to kind of build almost a profile if required. So if somebody, if you're getting lots of red flags that one person in particular, maybe it's Helen, who knows what Helen has been up to, if lots of messages have been reported by this one person and they're all falling under discrimination, for example, then that kind of gives you a bit of a picture as to what kind of person Helen is like.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, well, you've really got it in for Helen. Yeah, it is really powerful tool. Very useful for admins, very useful potentially for HR. So yeah, I think Google's done
good
really
that you
nice
can delete messages as well. So you can obviously just delete the entire space if you wanted. But for example, if there was a big group chat amongst all the colleagues in work, and somebody just messaged something really inappropriate, and somebody reported it, the admins can go in and delete that potentially before everyone else has seen it, and maybe like got offended or something like that.
Yeah, that's right. Absolutely, they can kind of take some action on it, and it's interesting as well. It's not directly made a point of in this update, but it is mentioned in this update. The fact that Google has this moderation section now in the admin console, which you can actually see on the graphic here. There's a chat tab, which they're showing in the graphics here, because obviously we're talking about chat, but there's a Gmail one as well. I don't know if you noticed that. So there's obviously some moderation that you can do within Gmail as well. So that is, that's just going to be a really, really useful section. Hopefully in some future updates, we'll see them add in a bit more into that moderation area as well. Maybe like Google Drive, where you remember we did an update quite a while ago now, where people could report spam files and things like that.
Yes, yeah. I was just thinking that actually. Yeah, who knows? It'd be interesting to see how this moderation area will evolve.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Thanks, Adam. Is there? I think there's a bit of additional information here. Is that right?
Yes, there is. So, as part of this change, the moderation tool will also include a tab for managing quarantined Gmail messages. Fancy that. You can visit Google's Help Center for more information regarding setting up email quarantine and the admin privileges required to manage quarantined messages. The Gmail tab is available to all Google Workspace customers that have access to the admin console.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
They always forget that tiny little detail.
I know, they always say that, don't they? It's like, oh yeah, everybody's got Google Workspace. But I suppose, technically, if you've got Google Workspace, I suppose you're an admin customer. But yeah, or you've got an admin console. But yeah, you've got to have access to it as well. Cool. Okay, what's the getting started rollout pace and availability, please, Adam?
Okay, so getting started for the super admins out there, the moderation tool will be available by default and can be accessed in the admin console by going to Apps, Google Workspace, Moderation. Or, alternatively, I've added a link within our document that will take you right there. To view chat content in the moderation tool, you must enable content reporting for Google Chat. You can also assign the moderate chat content report privilege to other users in your organization, and I've added a couple of links in our document for that to be helpful. Rollout pace, so rapid release and scheduled release. There's a gradual rollout, so potentially up to 15 days for feature visibility, which began on January the 22nd, and availability, Google Chat content reporting and moderation is available to Google Workspace Enterprise Plus, Education Standard and Education Plus customers. So it looks like, did we say that everybody can access the moderation, but the Google Chat part of this is only available to Enterprise Plus, Education Standard and Education Plus?
Ah, I see. That makes sense. Oh, right. So the moderation area is available to everybody, and Gmail is available to everybody, but the chat one is.
Yeah, I was just thinking that if they said moderation is available to everyone, they must have been referring to the Gmail aspects of that.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that's sort of that part of it. Okay, that makes sense. I
almost would have thought it would be available to a bit more, maybe like business or other. Tiers like that, because great that it's in education, but I imagine businesses are using Google Chat quite a bit as well.
Yeah, I was just going to say that, like, I agree with you, because Workspace Enterprise Plus, that is right at the top end, and I would have liked to have seen Google expand that a bit to at least Enterprise, really even down to Business Plus, because you can have companies at Business Plus level who are probably going to have, I don't know, maybe 30, 40 employees or something like that. So I would have liked to have seen them expand that a little bit more. I think that's a little bit restrictive, putting it at Enterprise Plus. That's a very high level to put that at.
Yeah, because I want to say it's almost like an HR tool type thing, and could be applicable to everyone. So yeah, it is a bit surprising that it is right. Well, Education Standard, that's there at the bottom level, but for everyone else, it's right at the top level.
Yeah, and you are right. It's great that they've included education on slightly lower tiers, but yeah, it would have been nice for business as well. Anyway, that's what Google's chosen to do. Maybe they'll expand it to some others in the future. What have we got next, please, Adam?
So up next, Google Meet. Closed caption support for Google Meet expands to an additional 31 languages. So Google has expanded support for closed captions to include an additional 31 languages. And we have included, there's a table in our documents that has a list of all those languages where closed captions is now available. You'll notice that the newly supported languages are denoted with a beta tag as Google continues to optimize performance. So for anyone that's not sure, Adam, you want to give everyone a quick overview of what is closed captions?
Yeah, absolutely. So, funnily enough, I actually used this with a client that I was talking to the other day on one of the meetings, where he was actually asking me about transcripts. He was saying, "Oh, is it true that Google Meet can sort of transcript your meeting somehow?" And I said, "Yeah, absolutely." I said, "I can't show you that right now because we're in the meeting." I said, "But I'll turn on closed captions." And I just turned it on, and he was just blown away by the fact that it was live, putting on the screen what I was saying in terms of captions very, very quickly, very, very accurately. And so that's closed captions, and then Google also supports it for all of these different languages as well. So they're kind of you speaking in those languages, it will bring the closed captions up for that.
I'm not even sure how many there are altogether, because this is an additional 31 that has been released to. I'm sure there have been other updates where there was 50 or so released at that point. They seem to be doing big chunks at a time, so there's probably like 100 or so. I've no idea, but there must be. I think the very popular languages, no, wrong word, widely used languages,
commonly spoken,
are pretty much covered.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. Yeah, they've done a lot of languages. I can't think how many they've got supported. So
I think the closed captions, it sounds a little bit boring if you just read it on an update. Say, oh, okay, they're doing that, lovely. But when you actually see it, if you like turn it on incredible in your meeting, it's actually really cool. And it's amazing, and it's very impressive as well. Actually, it is cool.
Yeah, it is really, really good, and it's really accurate as well. So, very impressed with closed captions. And, the client that I showed was certainly blown away by it. He's like, "Oh my God, I can't believe that's doing." As he was saying, it was then bringing up his words, the sort of breaking the fourth wall there a bit. Great. What's the getting started rollout pace and availability, please, Adam?
Okay, so getting started. For the admins out there is no impact for this update. For the end users, though, these languages will be available by default. You can visit Google's Help Center if you'd like to learn more about using closed captions in Google Meet, and I've added a link in our document for that. This update is available right now for everybody, which is great, and it is available to all Google Workspace customers and users with a personal Google account. So, love to see it. Available everywhere right now to everyone.
Yeah, that makes sense. Lovely. Thanks, Adam. What have we got last, please?
Okay, finally from us this week, it's another Google Chat update. Well, I think this is another Google Chat admin-y type update, but let's get to it. So, improving space creation in Google Chat. So Google is making 2 improvements to the space creation flow in Google Chat, preventing duplicate space names and providing a method to configure spaces for specific use cases. So in order to prevent duplicate space names in Google Chat, you'll no longer be able to create a space within your company's domain if that space name already exists. Similar to the experience in Gmail and Google Groups, if a space name already exists, an error message will appear. The same will happen if a user tries to edit the name of a space to another name that already exists. This feature will not immediately apply to space names created via Chat API, but starting from June the 3rd of this year, spaces created via Chat API will also be subject to this error. I wonder why that's so far away. Starting this week, you'll also notice an updated user interface when creating a new space in Chat. In addition to easily determining access settings, you can now designate the space for collaboration or for announcements. After creating a space, an updated welcome page will appear with contextual options that provide users with next steps depending on the space type selected. For a collaboration space, users get the option to add members, share files, assign tasks, and create a welcome message that appears when a new member joins the space. Oh, I love that. You will also have the ability to toggle history on and will see contextual suggestions for eligible apps to explore in Marketplace and to add into the space. For an announcement space, users will get the option to add groups, manage space permissions, and add guidelines on how to use the space.
I really like everything that Google's done here with making this easier. I've just got one concern about this main part at the beginning here where they're saying about you not being able to create spaces with the same name. Mm-hmm. It's very difficult because on the one hand, I think that's really great. That makes perfect sense to me because it's a bugbear of mine being somebody who's a bit old school IT and somebody who's in IT. I know it is of yours, Adam, having how many systems do we have where we've got like 8 new folders, because nobody's renamed them, things like that, and using the same names over and over again. Staff shared planning goes on forever in subfolders. So I do understand why they're doing that to prevent duplicate names. The only concern I've got is with my admin hat on, is just the potential workload increase that could generate with admins. Because
why is that?
imagine this scenario. You're in marketing, exactly as this graphic is showing here. You're in marketing and you say, okay, I want to create a space called marketing leads, and it says this space is already taken. But you think to yourself, oh, well, I'm the marketing director, so I don't know where that is. What are you going to do? You're going to go to your IT support, aren't you? You're going to go to admin. You're going to say, hey, I'm trying to create this, and it's saying the name's already taken. And then as admin, you've got to look, and you've got to go, oh yeah, that's the marketing lead space that was created 2 years ago by a different team.
Because potentially this other person isn't a part of that space, so can't actually just see. Mm-hmm. It's not just there in front of them, it's there within the domain, but they don't have access to it. But because it's already within the domain, they can't use that name because it's already taken by someone else.
That's right. So, and then that's going to be kicked back to IT or admins to sort that out and try and rename the space or delete it or archive it or I don't know, do something with it. That's with my kind of looking down the line at how this could potentially be a bit of a problem, because you are going to have that situation where I don't know, you could have 2 people within the marketing. Let's say your marketing department is 10 people. Let's say it's quite a big company, right? And your marketing department's 10 people, and you've got 2 interns who have come in 1 year, and they've just created a space called marketing leads, or they might have even asked IT to do it, and they get their space created, and then they leave. Nobody else is in that space, and no one's got. That's just kind of like an archived away space. So, I can see that being a potential problem. What I think would be better, Google, if you're listening, to address this problem, is if you are if you have some kind of space manager privileges, it would be quite nice in this interface if it said something like, "Go to this space," because you're a space manager. You've kind of got the ability to view them all anyway, so it would be quite nice if it said go to this
or
space.
If it kind of gave you a suggestion, say if you were trying to call it your marketing leads or something, you could say, yes, it may say, oh, this name is already taken, or kind of like give you suggestions of other similarly named spaces. So is it like, do you mean this? Like this already exists, this already exists, so and say to stop you creating, I say like a duplicate, essentially a duplicate, but with a different name. So instead of like Market Leads 2 or something, or Market Leaders or something very, very similar to the first one, but with a 1 character difference or something, which would enable it to be created. So it kind of gives you a suggestion of, did you actually mean this instead?
Yeah, or this is something that's available, kind of like it does when you're creating an email address, in Gmail. The other thing that they could do that would be really useful as well is if there was a quick button there to say request access to the existing space. So again, if you had one that said marketing leads and it said, oh, this space is already taken, but you can request access to it, then that would be really useful as well. Because again, as a marketing director, you might go, oh, there's already a marketing lead. So, oh, well, I just want to join that. I don't necessarily want to create new space for that if there's one there already.
That is an excellent suggestion. Yes, definitely. And I think it definitely couples quite well with, I think it was a little while ago, there was an update where it was much easier to manage spaces. I think you can now do that in the admin console, where you'll be able to see all the spaces and how many members are in each space and administer them that way. I know that does kind of put it a little bit more onto the admins out there, but they're probably a good person to go to keep it all nice and neat and tidy and get it all basically set up correctly. So then, everything should be available to everybody. So if somebody needs a marketing lead space or needs access to that, the admin can give them space to that promptly.
Yeah, absolutely. They can, for sure. It's just how much extra work that potentially puts on the admins if it's just another thing that the admins then have to sort out. In isolation, it's very quick, but it's just like another thing that the admins have to sort out. And for anybody listening who's not an admin, you know, it's not always, remember, as easy as somebody just going, oh, I'm trying to create this marketing lead space, can you just help sort that out? For an admin trying to sort that out, there's a lot of decisions that have to be made there. That can take a really long time to sort out. Because let's say the marketing lead's space is there already, but it's, like in my example, it's been created by 2 interns and they've left. You don't necessarily know that as an admin. Does any of the history in that, is any of the history in that important? So what do? Do you just delete it? Or and then hope that it's not needed? You know, it can be quite difficult as an admin to just make these decisions sometimes and try to walk that line of like convenience for the user, but also doing something that's not going to cause a problem.
Yes, or if you're almost doing firefighting, essentially, where it's, oh, this is coming from somebody really high up, it has to just work right now, and there are too many decisions essentially to think about, so then you end up just creating a new space with a very similar name to what they originally wanted. Well, then there's two spaces with a very similar name, and then someone else important comes along and says the exact same thing, and then it could very unintentionally, but that could kind of snowball into basically making a bit of a mess of the spaces area, all whilst because you're trying to keep everyone happy.
Yeah, that's absolutely right, and that is another real problem that IT face is sometimes we regularly get this kind of, and any MSP listening or IT support agent listening will know the plight of this is sometimes you do just get this like just do it. Just make it work, because those people don't care. They just want their one thing sorted. They're not looking.
They're thinking in the next 5 minutes. I want to do this right now. But then, what about a little bit long term? In potentially in a couple of weeks, a couple of months time. Like, how will you still be happy with the mess we've made in the future?
Yeah, that's absolutely right. And as IT, we're always thinking, or we should always be thinking very big picture, because our IT touches everything in a company pretty much. So you've got to think very big picture about all the different departments and all of that longevity and everybody working together. So I'm definitely not negative about this update, by the way. This is a very, very good update, and I really like everything that Google have done. I just wish they'd run it past me before releasing it.
Another bit that I do particularly like about this, because I think we may have even mentioned it ourselves before, is that when you're now creating a space, you can say whether it's there for collaboration, is that essentially just your group chat amongst or your colleagues or whomever, and you can have another one specifically for announcements, that you can use that as your bulletin board for new news feeds, essentially, from your place of work or wherever it happens to be. So it's not there to gossip or whatever, or people to directly message things. That is there. It's a bit more informative as for the whatever's going on, or for whatever you need to put into it. So I do like that they now do have those 2 different styles of spaces.
I agree, that's right. Yeah, it makes it much easier to right at the start say, is this a 2-way exchange or is it just a 1-way exchange? And just like we said before about Google Meet versus live stream, and the differences there. So you're just kind of broadcasting that information out.
And actually, something I missed, that I missed when I first typed up the document for this, is when it was saying about, I think when you create a new space, you can almost create your little message to say hello to somebody when someone else new joins the space. So maybe you've got a new colleague or something like that, then it looks like you can almost pre-fill in a little hello message. So I'm in like various different WhatsApp group chats, and new people come all the time, and you're always saying the exact same thing whenever new people join. So it's quite nice that it sounds like I've lost it on the document now, but I'm sure I said it out loud, so it must be true.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah, you can set a welcome message. Yeah, that's right. And
I really
is
like
nice.
that. I like that. I think that's quite nice.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, that is a nice little touch. The getting started here is... Oh, it's actually the rollout pace that's a little bit longer, isn't it? But I'll let you read the getting started first of all. Okay,
so getting started. So for the admins out there is no admin control for this feature. I thought there was. For the end users, you'll receive an error message when editing or creating a space in Google Chats that has the same name as a space that already exists. Existing spaces with the same name will not be impacted. So they're going to tie themselves in a knot. So I just hope that somebody deletes them sometime. The end users can also visit Google's Help Center if they'd like to learn more about the new space creation flow. And I've added a link in the document for that. For the developers, update apps created via Chat API to ensure they do not conflict with this new error code for duplicate space names by June the 3rd of this month. So it looks like you've got 6 months, give or take, to update your apps to make sure that there's no issue with that. Rollout pace. So the rollout for the duplicate space names, rapid release and scheduled release, gradual rollout, which started on January 25th. The new space creation flow on the web, rapid release, there's a gradual rollout which started on January the 25th. Scheduled release, gradual rollout starting on February the 12th. For the new space creation flow on mobile, this feature will be available on mobile by the end of the first quarter of 2024, so within the next couple of months.
Thank you, Adam. And what's the availability here, please?
So this update is available to all Google Workspace customers and Google Workspace individual customers.
Okay, individual as well. That's interesting. They put those in there sometimes, don't they?
I was going to say, it's even more available than the last one that was available to everyone.
Thank you very much, Adam. That's brilliant. And that's it, everybody. It's everything that you need to know about all of the updates happening in the world of Google Workspace this week. Remember that this podcast is available in audio format from wherever you cast your pods, and also in video format on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/strawberry7. Thank you very much for joining us this week.
And we'll be back again next week with more updates.
Goodbye.
Bye.